Coming at you from Scratch and Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. Your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. As always, I'm Porter. Sitting to my left, we've got my co-host, Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
And to my right, an empty chair.
What the fuck?
Tom's out on vacation, but hey, not to worry. We do have a fill-in, our good old friend, Melissa. Melissa, how the hell you doing?
I am great.
It's good to have you back.
Yes, Melissa, thanks for coming back.
I'm so glad to be back.
And in Tom's spot at that.
Yes. I think she was just getting a little too jealous of Grant.
I was.
Wow.
It was terrible. I was plotting a murder from Canada, and then I realized that was a bad thing, and I couldn't do that. So I apologized to Grant. I'm sorry.
I'm sure the donuts you sent will be there any day now. And he can toast those in his RAA toaster, which he won for his 10th appearance.
Yes.
No, why we're toasting donuts, but it's the best segue I had.
It's fine. I'm cool with it.
May not be laced with arsenic, but I don't know. Tim Hortons, totally the best.
Hash brown not sponsored.
Hash browns.
Wow.
Oh, great start so far.
I'm into it. Holy shit.
Yeah, this is what happens.
That's a good thing.
It's always a good time.
If you agree, you folks at home.
Which, if you're laughing by now, you probably agree.
Probably. We could definitely use your help and your support. One of the great ways you can do that is to hit up our Ko-Fi. That's ko-fi.com/rage across the internet. Link in both our website and at the show notes. Correct, Danny? And from there, you could join one of our membership tiers. Help us out there. You could do a one-time donation, however you want, if you want to. If you don't want to go that route, however, that's perfectly understandable. Here's how you can help us. Danny's having a stroke. Hold on.
Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't see that one coming.
I wasn't even doing a thing.
Listen, like, and send it off to your friends.
That is exactly it, Melissa. Word of mouth is huge. Reviews are huge. Ratings are huge. Help us get the word out. Help us spread the love. Excellent. Perfect.
Thank you, Melissa. Yes.
Right. So moving on from that for today.
Yeah, sure. Well, we got the website, got our store, Discord.
Well, the website, that's rageacrosstheinternet.com. .com.
All right, nothing from Melissa. Fine. We're going to stand in for Tom, though.
Not my first rodeo.
Yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, I think that's, I guess, plenty for the day.
And we'll show more stuff next week.
See how it goes.
You don't want to do too much at the same time. We did that. You know,
yeah.
We can show one thing an episode and still get everything done in a month.
That's what she said.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You know what else? Not even she. Lots of people say is you can't do that. That's not in the rules.
What?
But there is a rule.
There's a rule.
That you can hold up and go, "Fuck you. This is the way it is."
Why is it you can do it and I can't?
Well, because I'm the storyteller.
Bingo.
What the hell are we talking about, Melissa?
The golden rule.
That is correct.
It's like the only real rule of the game that
I wouldn't go that far. But I mean, the golden rule is just that. It is the golden rule. And, it is if you don't like the rule, change it. And I mean, obviously, we have talked about this before way back.
This was our number 2 episode.
Yeah, and episode 2.
Or we didn't even know what the hell we were doing yet.
You didn't know what the hell you were doing yet.
You're right there, too.
Look, that's an old episode.
We've asked people to skip it.
We have.
And hopefully they've listened and, not listened to the episode, but listened to us telling you to skip it.
Nope.
You didn't skip it?
Nope. In fact, I listened to it again last night because it might have had some interested stuff. And yeah, it's still a good episode to hear.
Thank you so much for we disagree, but thank you so much for saying.
I was going to say, I don't agree with this, but
there it was.
The sentiment is appreciated.
Yes, very much. I mean, but look, here it is. It was episode 2. It was, and here's some inside baseball, and I haven't said that in forever either. So, hey, we're on theme. We did 2 demos before we started recording.
Right.
And when we started recording, we did the first 5 in one day.
That was a long day.
But it wasn't. Because
compared
those episodes,
to now.
well, because those episodes were like a half hour.
Right.
Where now we'll cut around an hour 45 an episode, and then editing happens. But really, an hour 45 was almost the total runtime of those first 5.
Out of all total together, yes.
Yeah, I'm saying like here, so there's wiggle room for accuracy.
It was 38 minutes.
Right.
Jesus.
So 38 minutes for the first 5 episodes. You look at around a half an hour episode, and now we do an hour and a half episode a week.
Roughly. Anywhere from hour 15 to hour 45 is...
Yeah, again, fluctuations, but that's my point, is it was a smaller episode. It was our second episode. We didn't have our format. We didn't have our rhythm yet. We didn't even have the full cast yet. No, we had extra cast people.
Extra cast. I don't even think I was part of that episode. Melissa, you were listening to her. Yeah, see?
It was Porter and 2 girls.
Yeah, but exactly. It was, it was a different cast. It was a different time. We were still finding our rhythm. And, so we look back at these. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast yet or not.
Maybe.
By now, the announcement about our actual play has been made.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom was listening to one of our old tribals for insight on the character he was going to make. And he's like, we didn't really talk about the tribe that much.
No, I remember, especially, I would say maybe the first half of our tribals. And yes, the curse was there, and we've made a joke of that how many fucking times.
Oh, yeah, there was the tribal curse.
But the tribal episodes themselves, especially the first half of them, we just go into history a lot. It's a lot of the history of the tribe. And that's cool, and that's interesting stuff, but, how do you play that character?
Yeah, we didn't get into, I think, really the more interesting stuff. It's just how it was. But the point of this is having that conversation with Tom is we realize that we're going to have to go and record new episodes of all that shit. The stuff we feel like we didn't do well enough, we're going to do better. Again, ring the bell. And which, again, is what brings us to today where we're doing Golden Rule.
Because of
all of that.
Yep.
It's not your first show,
all about a roundabout way.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, you gotta let me do those. You're too obvious about them. See, I sneak them in. You put a hat on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, see, will you tell him he's not getting away with it?
Oh, Danny.
See,
you're doing so great.
What? You don't like the way I assumed? It's fine.
Okay, that one was good.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one. Oh boy,
you're welcome.
This is our show, folks. See what you've done to us, Tom.
But yes, we're redoing. I don't really want to call it redoing the episode, but we're
revisiting
the topic. Yes.
To do a better job than we did before, to cover it from a different angle, however you want to look at it. But that's something that's going to be in the future as we go.
And
it's like it bears talking about again,
especially early episodes, right?
Yeah,
we didn't have a rhythm yet. We didn't. There's a lot of stuff we've evolved with.
Oh, certainly, and you could definitely track the last couple of years. I think I was talking to our editor Lucas. I was talking to Lou about it. How you could definitely look at different eras.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning, here's this studio. Here's when we moved studios. Here's when we got the new equipment. So it's the newest era of the show right now. Listen to the sound.
It's a new era. Look at that. Yeah.
So happy.
Well, I look at the episode that you and I did together, and we just bullshitted the entire time.
Yeah. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we talked so little about Werewolf.
But that was kind of by design.
We
were doing kind of a retrospective thing. But that was then, and today is the Golden Rule episode. Mm-hmm. And there's Melissa here also. So
sorry,
let's remember...
Radio for 2.
Right?
I apologize.
No, it's fine. I'm just waiting for you to stop talking.
Wow.
And that was to you for a change.
No, you guys are great. And to be honest, I think you're too hard on yourselves with the first episodes. And the Golden Rule episode is still very valuable to starter STs who don't necessarily know that they can do this. Honestly, I think you're being too hard on yourself with those, initial episodes. You always need that sort of get your feet wet type thing. And I think they're still valuable episodes. So, you.
Thank you so much. And I think the reality there is we're just a little embarrassed of our humble beginnings.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, we got our feet wet. Now it's time to fucking dive in. So
yes.
Or dry off. Maybe you don't like swimming.
I was in there. I hated it.
Yep. Got my feet wet and I said, gross. Is this all this is?
So the golden rule itself says.
Yes, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if you do not like the rule, change it. Is a storyteller has the right to augment any system as they see fit to facilitate gameplay.
As a storyteller, whatever helps your story flow better is the way you should run it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. As a storyteller, he's the one that makes the rules.
Or is she? There's a Melissa here.
The storyteller is the one.
There's at least one.
The storyteller is the one who makes the rules.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's important to say, and I've said this before, I think the last time I did was during the Werewolf 5 roundtable.
Yeah,
Can we not go there?
Oh, we won't. We won't. But what I was going to say is a game is two things. A tabletop, an RPG, a tabletop RPG is two things. It's lore and it's systems.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You take one away, you take everything away.
Right. It's only these two things. So the golden rule there, them stating explicitly that, yes, you have the power to alter those rules or the setting, the systems, or the lore. Mm-hmm. It's a big thing. A part of the golden rule is there's a way to do it and a way not to. And that sounds counterintuitive to say that when we just talked about what the rule means. But all things are in service or should be in service to the integrity of the game.
I think that's a major point that so many people miss. Keep the integrity of the game. You start taking that away, you take the game away.
And maybe you have a group that likes just off the wall, everything's bonkers, who maybe that is.
If that's your game.
But maybe that's not Werewolf.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another game that's better suited to that you don't have to go through all these hoops to adjust. I don't know. I don't know a lot about other games. I know they exist. Mm-hmm. I hear there's one about Dracula's. Something about spooky ghosts and wizards. I don't know.
Cookie wizards.
Something about dragons and
bunkers. Cellars. Don't forget about the Fae.
Cellars and dragons. All right.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't know.
Dragons hide in the cellars.
Pathwatcher, and there's a Vicen and Miami Vice, and I don't know. There's a lot of games.
Yes.
I don't know anything about any of them, but I know they exist. We're talking about Werewolf today, though.
Yes.
We're talking about Werewolf every day.
Yes.
The golden rule is there to be used, but it can also very easily be abused. And that's kind of why we're bothering to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Because it's cut and dry. There's not a whole lot of explanation behind if you don't like a thing, change a thing. But I think there's a lot of nuance behind doing it. I don't want to say properly, but for lack of a better term, properly.
I know where you're going with it, and you're right. You can't really say properly because what's proper?
Right.
Every storyteller is different. Every story is going to be different. A storyteller is not going to tell the same story twice.
Hopefully not.
I mean, you have different players. They're going to make different decisions.
That's true, but I mean, as a storyteller, you shouldn't. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah.
All right.
You can. You shouldn't. So I'm not going to go into detail about that.
That's fair.
I view the golden rule as something, as a bit of a tool, like something you can use. But I also see it as a source of responsibility as a storyteller to make the game fun for, everybody who's at the table. Be it, your best friends who just fly in for a weekend or whatever, or if it's a long-standing game like the game I'm in with Strides. I mean, it's something that any veteran player of the World of Darkness, be it mage or changeling or wraith or whatever, or leeches as you call them, this is a standard rule right across the board. Right? It's in every World of Darkness setting. And it's something that can be abused, especially by veteran players going, well, can't you just kind of let me do this just this once? And you're like going, no.
And see, that's a great point right there as you bring up veteran players and shame on those players because they know better.
And they're players. They're not the storyteller. Well, they're not the ones making the rule.
Which is why they know better.
They should.
Yeah.
That the player doesn't get to go, well, you don't get to golden rule anything, sir.
Or ma'am.
Or ma'am.
In this scenario, I think it's just a guy.
In this scenario, we know it's a guy. That's fine.
We're now talking about someone specific that's not being named.
Yeah, we are not talking about anyone in particular. I'm not bringing up names or anything like that. Oh, okay.
You aren't. Porter is.
Yeah. I'm also not bringing up names, but we're talking about a specific person who looks at a storyteller and goes, well, we're going to golden rule that. No, you don't get to make that decision.
No. It makes me think, and I go back to I don't want to say style of writing just yet because we're not even into the story yet.
Yeah, well, we're nowhere so far.
But like,
good show.
Even besides the point, I look at even character creation. Mm-hmm. We're not even starting yet until you've approved that the creation of the character. No,
that's true. And I don't know how golden rule that is, but yeah, if we go off the rails and it's still interesting, then fuck it, right?
I consider it part of the golden rule.
Why?
I don't know. I can say, like, this is my character, this is what I'm going with, and then that's my part's done. You have to write your story. This is what I'm using with my character. If you're not approving that, the story's not going anywhere. I'm not going to go too fucking bad. You figure it out, not me.
Right. I mean, that's true. That's a part of the, again, I don't want to say the hierarchy of it all, but like the storyteller is in charge. They're writing the story.
Yes. You are the one in charge. You're the
one. I'm building the world.
Yeah. This is your responsibility. I need to work with you, not the other way around.
And I mean, ultimately, sure. Ideally, it shouldn't come to that.
It shouldn't.
I have very rarely seen situations where it has, but I know those exist.
Kind of why I'm bringing it up.
Fair enough. And I mean, going back to specifically the golden rule, I mean, there are plenty of good ways to use it. And I think, but again, it can easily be abused. And it's like Melissa pointed out, it's like Ben's law. Great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. So
Ben's law.
Yeah. Ben Parker. You ever heard of him?
I know.
Jeez.
It's just funny you called it that. That's all.
Man. You can't say Uncle Ben's law. Everyone's like, what's this got to do with rice?
Only you say that.
I have never said that before, and now I'm going to say it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Figures.
Melissa, what does this have to do with rice?
It doesn't at all. It doesn't have anything to do with rice at all.
Full disclosure, Danny was taking a drink. I was trying to
I was trying to ruin his day. I figured. I saw it coming. As soon as I lifted that drink up, I saw the eye. Like, oh shit. Better make this quick.
He hears that a lot.
Oh, damn it. All right, back to... Fuck.
This feels like...
Oh, God, what did you do to him?
Here's that, too.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, God. Oh, God, now you got me started.
Excellent. Now, you know what this reminds me of the Red Letter Media, the Best of the Worst Star Wars Holiday Special discussion.
Oh, boy.
Because, see, that was a 2-part episode.
Okay.
In the first part of they aggressively don't discuss the holiday special.
Oh.
They go well out of their way to not discuss what they're supposed to be talking about.
So they spent an entire episode not talking about the thing they even titled their episode on.
Yep. Hence facilitating a part 2 where they actually do talk about it. But so
tune in next week when we do Golden Rule Part 2. We finally talk about the Golden Rule.
We're trying, kind of. Oh, no. Is this what it's like when Tom's on here now?
Oh, I was going to say this is what it's like when we don't hit record yet.
Holy shit. No, we are recording.
Yeah, I know we're recording.
I'm like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, all this great content, this insightful commentary.
Insightful, here we go. We've said 2 things that make fucking sense so far.
I know.
I am so sorry to whoever is editing this.
It's fine. It's fine. We're having a good time. We're entertaining people.
Yeah.
So what other kinds of things have we golden ruled? How about that?
Mother's touch.
You specifically have golden ruled mother's touch.
Yes. So in previous editions, it was intelligence plus medicine. And I think that makes absolute freaking sense. In later editions, I think it was W20, it's now intelligence plus empathy. I'm like, no, it's always going to be intelligence plus medicine. So in my game, when our Theurge took Mother's Touch, I warned him in advance that it's not intelligence plus empathy, as it says in W20. I am actually golden ruling it to previous editions. And he was like, okay. And he put all his dots in empathy.
Oops.
And I I put the fingers to the temples and I rubbed and I said, okay, I'm going to let you retcon it, because even though I did tell you, I'm going to let you adjust your dots a little bit. We hadn't started the game yet. So I said, I'm going to let you move things around a little bit if you choose to. And he did, but he didn't go overboard. Like he just put like 2 dots in empathy and like 1 dot in medicine. So I allowed him to move some of the dots over, but not all of them. So he didn't suddenly have medicine 3, but that is my golden rule. For me, it does not make sense to use empathy as the deciding factor. And I think it's because they changed it. I don't know the reasoning, but I suspect it's because it's a more spiritual healing as opposed to a physical healing. But I still think you need that component.
Well, I think I completely agree on that. You know, the change away from medicine is dumb.
Yeah.
I'm going to be diplomatic there and call it dumb.
Yeah,
that's diplomatic.
That is diplomatic.
I call it stupid.
See? Diplomatic. Diplomatic.
Yep.
Dumb. Anyway. No, I mean, I think that's a great change. It's a great use of the golden rule. You're at my table. And Melissa, you'll be learning a lot about this, and I think it's going to drive you nuts. But you'll adapt. You'll get used to it, or you'll learn how.
I can't wait.
Like I golden rule the shit out of combat. I also golden rule how Mother's Touch works, but in a different way. And I think I want to focus on that right now. Maybe we can go into the combat shit later.
Yes.
But I think the Mother's Touch parallel is great. Is that I have a problem with Mother's Touch is that it's a level 1 gift, and the ceiling on that gift.
Fucking the goddamn atmosphere.
Exactly. There's no ceiling to this. It's, you can just touch them and then they're better. There's a hole through their stomach. They got a cold, cancer, herpes, whatever it is.
All the above.
Yep. Boop. You're done. Level 1 gift.
Fixed.
What? 1 gnosis and one gnosis and a quick die roll, and I cured AIDS.
Wow.
I cured AIDS and shotguns to the head and blindness, and I'm a faith healer and a snake bite man, and it's all rolled into one. This 1 level 1 gift. Yeah. And it's too strong to me. So what I do is it still works that way, but
you have repercussions.
Well, you have repercussions and there are stipulations. So, like if we're talking about a broken leg.
Sure.
All right. And you've got the bone sticking well out of the, and there's like a 90-degree angle involved. If you use Mother's Touch on it in that state, the skin and muscle grow around that 90-degree angle.
Ouch.
Oh.
Yeah. So obviously that is not healed right. So you're going to have to re-break that and set it later. Or do it right the first time. You can't hold a stump up next to, you can't hold an arm next to the stump and use Mother's Touch and have that be perfect. You're going to have to reset that arm. Maybe even like ghetto sew it back on to make sure everything's lined up. Otherwise, it will not heal correctly. It won't be lined up correctly. It won't work right.
It's okay for a temporary solution.
Right. But,
understandable.
If you've got a belly full of silver buckshot and you use Mother's Touch, you still have a belly of silver buckshot unless you pull that shit out.
And that would suck.
Should it naturally just pop out? Yes, it should, but that's too simple for me.
I get it.
You're going to have to go in there and remove the bullet. Otherwise, you have healed a bullet inside your body.
And that's what I mean by repercussions. You can do that and have it, quote unquote, fixed, but it's only temporary and it's only until certain things happen later on. Sure. Again, the belly full buckshot.
Right. And again, the reason I did this is because I had a group at one point who was feeling a little too invincible. You had like 3 people who had Mother's Touch, and then Bear was their totem, so they all had like an extra hit of it anyway.
Oh shit!
So they didn't care. They're like, "Oh, I'm getting hurt. No big deal. I'm a Superman. Boop. I'm going to touch my friend in the forehead, and he's going to be all better forever." No.
That gold sore you got for making out with that crazy waitress, that's healed too.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting way of playing it. And I don't know if you've kind of I know how you feel about changing ways, but they go into more detail about healing things and changing ways.
Yes, they do. And I think that's one of the better sections of changing ways, actually.
I agree.
Yes, because, and how I play it with my players is that, so Mother's Touch works as it should. So the way you were talking about it being like really powerful, you still have to hit certain target numbers. You roll a difficulty to the person's rage. And of course, all my players have decided they're all rage monsters. So they're looking at difficulty 7 or 8. To use Mother's Touch. And they're like, so is it going to be my current rage or my permanent rage? I'm like, sorry. No, it's your permanent rage. So my poor Theurge is going, oh, crap. So they might get 1 or 2 boxes healed, not completely to full, but they might get 1 or 2. And then how I do it is, okay, so here's what we're doing. So exactly how it happened in reverse. So you feel that pain as your bone snaps back into place. You are literally crippled for several minutes as that pain radiates through your body, as your bone snaps back into place and your skin sort of reforms. And literally they are forced to feel that pain a second time, and potentially worse if, say, for instance, they get a buckshot full of silver, they will feel that same burning sensation as the bullets kind of blink, blink, blink outside of them. So they're, again, going through them again as their body expels it. That's how I run it.
Now, Danny, you seem to perk up when she said burning sensation. Was there something you wanted to add?
Fuck you.
Yes, Danny. Is there a burning sensation you want to talk about?
No, there is not a burning sensation. I would like to talk about it this time. Thank you for asking.
You perked up, so I thought you had something to add.
No, I did not. Again, thank you for asking, and I will not talk about this longer. I will not talk about this any longer.
But that's how I think silver should feel. And admittedly, some of my players are a little bit like, oh, yeah, I got 4 Aggie. I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're not fine. You're seriously not fine.
Right. And there you go. And I think, and here we go. It's a great look at the 2 different ways to deal with that. And I do agree that I like how Changing Ways handles that. And we actually use that in one of our games to deal with a severe injury on a character's part. I am really tiptoeing around this shit.
Yeah, it happened when my character lost his arm.
Yes.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
Are you still burnt? Are you still burnt at that?
Was that the sensation? Oh, good job, Melissa.
I am not talking about this.
Well, we don't want spoilers for the story.
But I've set them on air, though, and I've set them...
We're just getting closer to that actually happening in the postmortem series.
Right.
So it's like...
But people know it's coming, or it's not there yet. But I have said it on the podcast, but I guess we can just make it a long story short and just make it real quick. I sustained other injuries
at the
same time other than the loss of the arm. The severing of the arm.
Yep.
So in what Changing Ways was saying is, yes, that stuff's going to heal, but it's taking precedent on what's going to save your life first.
Yeah, so sometimes, the regeneration process will give up or half-ass something.
Correct.
In order to save something more,
important.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah. Important. So again, we'll leave it at that. Again,
that's a good way.
It is coming up with the postmortems.
I mean, we still got a couple months, but
it's coming up.
It's coming up. Anyway.
Yeah. Remind me to ask you later because I am curious about one thing. But go ahead.
I mean, if it's
what is it?
If it's necessary, we can talk about it right here.
I just want to know if you raged back. If you hit a period where you couldn't get any better, did you rage back?
I don't think you did. I think it was...
I think it caused incapacitation.
Yeah, you were...
I'm almost positive I was in the middle of a rage frenzy when it happened.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I know his immediate goal from then on was to not die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious if you had gotten to that point where you'd taken so much, you'd sustained so much damage that you were forced to rage back.
He didn't do his death roll.
I didn't do a death roll, but I think it led me to the incapacitation part and passing out or something.
Yeah, I know you were thrown in the back of the truck, which kind of turned into a kiddie pool in the cab of that truck because of all the blood.
Oh, God.
But yeah, the postmortem stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've danced around that bush enough.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean, again, I think the Mother Sisters, that's a great example of how different storytellers handle that kind of thing. And it's interesting that we both had that problem with players to where they're like, oh, it's only 5 whatever. That's nothing. I don't need the Gibbs inside of me.
Gibbs?
That's right. It's a scientific term. You wouldn't understand.
No, I wouldn't understand. Got it. Sorry, Dr. Porter.
That's Professor.
Oh, whoa. I mean, I thought you would want the higher.
It's Dr. Ostrich.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
What's up, Doc?
Wah, wah.
Topical. Just saying.
Is it?
It was.
So there are other situations that you use the golden rule in your games, Melissa.
I'm still trying to figure out combat. I hate the combat system. So I am really looking forward to seeing what you do with the combat. The other thing I do is something that Strides does, which is they can spend rage, gnosis, willpower in a single turn.
I do that as well.
I do the split actions, but I set a limit on the split action. So yes, that's great. You can do sort of 3-4 split actions on your first turn, but you cannot split an action in rage. That you have one time to do one thing and that's it.
That makes sense.
You can't split an action in a rage turn. That's just stupid.
And see, I won't let them split actions at all.
Dumb.
I see why she's going that direction, but yeah, you don't even split dice pools.
No. And I mean, I think there was a couple techniques. There might be a Kailindo one or two, and there was one with the Iksaku.
Ikskaku?
Mm-hmm. No, not
not Iskaku?
Not Iskaku. Iksaku.
I know it's
they spell it two different ways, and one is not flattering.
You're talking about the Coggy staff.
Yes,
combat.
yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah, it is spelled different ways in that tribe book.
Oh, yes, it is.
And one way is not. Yeah, one is not flattering. But I think there's a movement there where you can, and I allow it in that case because it's based on a gift or technique.
I was gonna say if it's based on something like that, that makes more sense.
But otherwise, no, I don't allow splitting of dice pools. You can spend your rage, and you get your full dice pool. But we're not letting you break your turn up into 5 individual turns where you're rolling 2 dice. You're wasting the group's time. No.
I think, and I like the way you do it because it allows for the creativity.
Well, and here's another thing that I do that I don't know that you're aware that I do, Danny.
Maybe.
And it's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
The difference between permanent and temporary rage, gnosis, and willpower.
I think I know.
Melissa, if I were to say you're going to pop a perm, do you know what the fuck I'm talking about?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I was not expecting that, Lucas. Go on then.
Yes, please go on.
No, go on, Melissa. What
does it mean to you if someone says pop a perm?
I assume it is you're sort of forcing the player through storyteller means to use either a rage action or a gnosis, not a gnosis, or a willpower.
Okay, so no.
No is the answer.
But
okay.
But that's okay. See what we do. What I do. I shouldn't say.
I know what you're saying now, yes.
Yeah. Is that 10 temporaries equal to permanent. So to pop a perm is to say if you have 7 rage permanents and you've got 3 temporary, or let's say 2 temporary, you want to spend 3 for extra actions, you erase that permanent rage. So now you have 6 perm.
But you've gained 10 in the temporary. Does that make sense, Melissa?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do that. It would be too complicated.
Well, it's
for your system, I can see why it would be complicated. But for Porter's system, and I get why you're saying it this way, because I know what the book says.
Yes. The book does not agree with what I just told you.
Right. So if you have 7 permanent rage, you can only have up to 7 temporary rage.
Right. That's basically the size of the shot glass.
Right. Is that making sense now, Melissa?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Where like in my games, you can pop that permanent and essentially make your shot glass smaller to get the extra temporaries to spend in combat or however you do.
So essentially what's happening is temporary can go from 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 1 to, if your permanence is 7, you can go 1 to 7. So you can have 1 to 10. But again, this is a golden rule.
Right. And that's why it's being brought up. You also roll your rage, whichever is higher.
Yes, I think that's the
it's not
takeaway
there.
First
permanents, whichever is higher on your rage. So if you pop that permanent, number 1, it's harder to get that back.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, you are now at excessively high rage until you burn some of that shit off.
Which as with that character, Jaeger, I've learned to, I don't want to say control, because frenzies still fucking happen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned to roll with. Does that make more sense?
Oh yeah, I mean it's the only way you've ever known.
Yeah, and it's not even that, but like I know because he's a high rage character that I got to learn to control this in game.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to learn to control this. I've got to do something about it. So yeah, I'll spend a few more actions here or there or whatever.
Well, and also that leads you to spend more willpower to keep yourself in check.
Yes, that too.
And the reason I do it this way is because, again, I want a more cinematic, much like being able to spend the rage, gnosis, and willpower all together if you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's to offer a more cinematic experience, to give you more options for big hero moments. I feel it makes combat quicker. It encourages you to spend rage while you're not splitting your dice pools. Like, I won't allow you guys to do that, but you can spend 3 rage a turn. You'll burn through your rage pretty quickly, but you have more than 6 total forever.
Right.
So you can do more cinematic, more creative things in combat by having that larger rage pool to spend. And again, it's a blessing and a curse because, you pop that permanent, suddenly...
You are...
Yeah, that scenario I gave, you want to spend 3, you only had 2 temporary. You pop a perm, so now you're at 9 temporary. That's really high rage. You need to do something about that quickly or it's going to bite you in the ass.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, for me, I would, because I allow the split actions, that's not something that I would do, but I do sort of penalize the players. So to split their actions, it's, -2, -3, -4, up to -5, I think is the furthest I've let anything go. And normally my players don't have a problem with sort of like dealing with whatever I throw at them within a round or 2 of combat. Rarely does it ever get beyond that.
Wow. Your combat only goes for a couple rounds?
Well, because
scale.
It's to scale. It's to scale. So they seem to, they work really well as a pack, to be honest. I'm surprised at how well they work together. I think it's because it's the exact same players in Stride's games as it is in my game. It's just, we just switch out roles. So Strides plays in my game and I play in his. And it's funny, Alice, who is the alpha in my game, is like, I never realized how hard it is to be the alpha. I'm like, yeah.
I know that feeling too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to experiencing your combat because I am frustrated that it takes so long to get through those 2 or 3 rounds that at the end of it, I'm just like, oh my God, just kill these things already.
Yeah, it's not till I've heard other people's games and it's not till I would read stuff about combat in the books that I realized how much surgery you've done to combat.
And I mean, that's a great point. How do you feel about that, Danny?
For us, Now, again, I haven't played in other games, so I don't know for sure. But like listening to other ones, there's not the flow that we have. I'm not saying our combat goes within minutes. No. It still takes a while, but the flow is way more consistent. It's way more even. It's way more fair. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like even if it's just Tom and me and we go kill this guy in like 2 hits, and the guy never even got a chance. That doesn't happen. The flow is there.
Yeah.
So not only is the flow there, but the cinematography is there.
And I think that's important. For me, it's a big deal. You want those moments that people can look back to, and just they'll still remember 5 years from now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you make it again as cinematic as possible, because that's how we do things. You know, you want it to be exciting. You want it to be memorable. You want it to be I want to brag about that thing. Mm-hmm. And
I just think of like certain roles, right? If it's just like an average role and like I succeeded at it, but it was like whatever, you're just gonna talk about it. It's just gonna happen. But if I did a certain role, but I had like amazing roles, I had a bunch of 10s in there and a few 9s in there, you're gonna make that scene even more dramatic. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa, where
you barely did it. Or even if I botched, it's completely
reversed.
Yep.
It's so undramatic that it hurts. Does that make sense? It's almost as dramatic, but like in a bad way. Does that make sense?
No, I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and I appreciate you giving those thoughts there, because like I can say all day, but I'm the one who's doing it.
Right.
You know, so like we shouldn't. You're someone who's experienced it, who has dealt with it. So let's hear from you on that.
Well, we've talked about it, especially in the beginning, and we've mentioned it on several occasions other times, but like we haven't had very many botches in our game.
Well, not since the botch rules changed, and I went with those changes.
Okay. Fair.
What was a time, Danny, is that if there were just more 1s than successes?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Instead of no successes.
In 1s.
Right. So I changed it because there were a lot of botches before.
Gotcha.
Like a lot.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Especially when you dramatize those botches.
Well, something bad has to happen.
Or something, yeah, exactly. And then we talk about it, the spider that came out of like my eyelids.
Right.
Ew.
That was neat.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot your deal with spiders.
It was a pattern spider, so like it made sense.
Right.
Still ew.
He was looking through the gauntlet.
And we bring that up because of how dramatic that scene was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, dude, you just had a pattern spider come in your eye. That sucks.
No, I made that count. I wanted you to feel that.
Exactly.
Because, and not only because it was a botch and that's terrible, but because it was the first time you had botched in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, peeking through the gauntlet was already a new experience for you, and you botched.
Right.
So I wanted it to be horrifying.
Yes. And I bring it up because it was horrifying and it's memorable.
Right. That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Granted, yes, it was one of the only times.
Maybe 5.
It might have been the only time I've botched.
Maybe. I'm just saying it was during Tom's hiatus from game.
Yes.
So like 2 years prior to this, it was like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And here you are talking about it like it happened yesterday. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly. It was my point too.
Yeah. I have had, hundreds of botches over the years. And I kind of miss it to some extent. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I kind of miss having, that experience of how horrifying it can be when you utterly botch something you're so excited about trying to succeed with. And I remember one particular storyteller, like gleefully, like almost Bond villain type, describing what happened to my poor character. And I'm like, oh God, he's enjoying this. But I wasn't mad. That was the thing. I wasn't mad at it. I could see that everybody was sort of like commiserating on my utter failure.
Well, see,
so
I'll tell you what. I will just for you. Okay.
No, it's okay.
I'll tell you what.
She sees where it's going already.
I mean, we could go to those old botch rules just for you. I mean, for you specifically, not for the whole group.
No.
But I think that's too basic.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is
golden rule that shit too, huh?
Yes, we are. And just for you, a botch will count on the roll of a 1 or a 2.
Oh no. That's quite all right. No, we don't need to do that.
No, you've convinced me.
No.
So that's what we'll do.
I was just saying.
And this is a prime example of misuse of the golden rule.
Yeah, I was gonna say this.
As we see how we segue into that.
Well, it's just that I have had so much like real experience with, different game systems and, just failing utterly, which is fine because it gives more life to the game itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to botch in W20. Like, it's almost impossible. But when you do, it is spectacular.
I mean, that's true.
That's fair. That's
awesome. I mean, it was until this upcoming game that you're going to be a part of.
I had
where
strides.
1s and 2s will count.
Thank you. No, I will pass on your.
Didn't we already talk about
offer.
You are not the storyteller? You can't make that rule,
right?
Please. But
of course, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah.
Strides. I want to be clear. There's some people who won't know.
Strides was in my game, and he was rolling. Oh my god, he was rolling so badly on Roll20. I was astounded, and I mean, sorry, Strides, but he rolled so many 1s and 2s. I was like, I have no idea how to handle this. It was so epic.
Yikes!
Yikes is right.
Yikes.
So I had to like quickly think of something that happened to him so bad, and he's like, I just want to stop rolling now.
Trip on your own knife.
I've done shit like that. I've had shit like that done.
Yes, you have. That's why I brought it up.
Action Penguin, he rolled his rage roll, and he rolled 1, 1, 1, 3, 3.
Oof.
On his rage roll to rage back.
I think that turns him into a Bastet, technically.
Literally. Well,
From
I was
a penguin
talking
to a
about
Bastet?
it. I was talking about with a friend of mine, and he was like, he technically should have exploded or something. And I'm like, I can't do that to him. So I ended up rolling for him because he was just so bad rolling. I'm like, look, I'm just going to do this. Here's my one like in-game golden moment, golden rule moment. I'm like, oh crap, I'm just going to redact that. And yeah, I'm just going to roll it for you.
That was kind of you.
No, it really is. And there's, that storyteller's prerogative at that point. And again, we can roll that into the golden rule. Yeah.
Sure.
Is a storyteller, you have the power to put your thumb on that scale. And, and again.
You should.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not too much.
Well, and this is the thing is should and shouldn't. This would be like a great topic for an episode.
Okay.
So I thought maybe we could. It's crazy. We got 2 storytellers here. I thought maybe it's, maybe we can talk about a thing. I don't know.
Should we hit record now?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I don't know how we're going to make this into something coherent.
That's fine.
It's
fine.
It's not even my problem.
No.
See what happens when I don't do research?
Hey.
Or notes?
You could have done notes.
I mean,
yeah, I know, but
you did more than us. You listened to the episode last night.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, but
it's on my to-do list too.
Oh, Jesus.
See, this game, the World of Darkness games, don't have that death roll save that, Edition 5 that Dungeons and Dragons has.
Werewolf does.
It doesn't really have a death roll though.
It does
it has,
too.
it has the rage.
Yeah, but
it has the rage back. But if
that's
you fail,
on death, and that heals the wounds, so that's your death roll.
But it doesn't.
It does. It saves you from death once. Ever.
Once.
Yeah. So what in Dungeons and Dragons you can do that multiple times?
In Dungeons and Dragons,
three times.
Oh Jesus!
And you can take your body to the clerk or whatever, and just get no.
But what I'm saying is
meaningless.
It's got more opportunity. Is what I'm saying.
That's a very diplomatic way of saying that nothing matters in D&D.
I was gonna say that's very diplomatic.
It's just silliness. It's So there's a resurrect-a-mart on every fucking town square. The church
what the hell?
You're back. No consequences.
Hey, look at that. All your stuff came with you, too.
And you're playing werewolf, and it's like, that chick ate your liver. That's
pretty much.
Sorry about your liver. It's gone now. The bad man took it away.
You didn't need it, really.
That arm... It got fucked off into oblivion.
That's fine.
You can use the bone for a sword handle.
Hey, look at that.
Woo!
Or keep it in Krynos and use it as a club.
Right. Or let Butchers in the Shadows have your finger bones.
Yep.
Wonder what he's doing with those.
So tipping those scales, huh?
Yes. No, I mean, that's the thing is the golden rule. It's a great tool, but it can easily be abused.
Yeah. Both
systems and lore. A bad storyteller can easily use the golden rule as an I win button.
Oh.
Or a you lose button, maybe more accurately.
Yeah, that's a bad day either way.
Melissa, sounds like you hit something in the chamber there.
Oh, yeah. I've played in games where storyteller we were just doing so well. Our roles were so good. And he was just like, nope, you're not going to succeed. Sorry. And I felt forced and jam-packed it into like a, you know how like a square into a round hole, it just doesn't fit. But he was damn sure he was going to try to do it. And I don't like being forced into one avenue. I like to allow my players to think outside of what I think is going to be the actions they're going to take. And he was determined to not let us do that and shrink us down to a specific avenue. And I really don't like that. So when he started using the golden rule to enforce his view, I'm like, yeah, nope, I'm out. I just checked out of the game. And I know that's not the right thing to do because storytellers put in a lot of work and a lot of effort. But at that point, I had just checked out. I'm like, no, this is not fun. This is not fun for me. And I think you had an experience, Porter, that I remember.
Yeah, there's been a minor thing here and there over the years. I mean, predominantly I have done the bulk of the storytelling in my my werewolf role-playing career in general. But yeah, a story does come to mind where, and I guess I'll tell. I think I've told it on air before. I'm not sure, but fuck it. It's my show. We were doing a series of tribal one-offs.
Okay.
I was on a little hiatus from storytelling. I had burnt out. I had just done 2 chronicles, approximately 40, 50 something chapters.
Oh, I know this.
Every other week.
Yeah, I know.
So I needed a break. Yeah. And we were doing these tribal one-offs where it was showing what the members of this pack were doing over the course of the year they were separated.
Okay.
And it was also a look at the tribes in general. And so for this Wendigo one, the guest storyteller had done like a past life kind of story, where this was a pack along the time of the Wormcomers, spreading forth into America.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were playing, the Wendigo, and there was like the Get of Fenris patrolling their new settlement, and we're in the dead of night there in the in the forest Vix, and we rolled initiative because we decided we were going to attack this patrol. And here's my characters. I have camouflage, I have a bow at the ready, and I have thrown and activated a bird stone that I have thrown in their vicinity. So birds are starting to, the birds, they're attacking these Geta Fenris. With the camouflage, the fact that it's night and I'm in a forest and they don't know I'm there. I get a bow, I get a shot ready with the bow. Beautiful roll. Takes out this guard. And the storyteller goes, hold on. He didn't want us to do that. He wanted us to run from the encounter.
Okay. No, you did say this one on air before, but still.
Which, the Wendigo were well known for running and hiding. That's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Well, I think we all know that famous Wendigo battle cry. Let's get the hell out of here, boys.
Famous.
Yeah. So, of course, we were there to play. And he didn't like that answer. So what he did is he paused. He got up. He went to my bookshelf.
Oh, boy.
Grabbed the first Get Try book, went to the Loki's Smile gift, where if they touch you, they make you laugh for the whole scene. Said this guy had Spirit of the Fray the whole time, so he goes first.
That's not how this works.
Right. And so retconned the whole turn, so that character that didn't know we were there in the first place walked directly to me. He was all Predator hidden in the fucking tree with a bow ready, touched me on the forehead and sent me into a laughing fit for the rest of the scene. We lost a player over that shit.
Yeah.
We had someone never come back again.
I don't blame him.
Neither do I. I read him the riot act after the game, but I wasn't going to do it during.
I mean, at least you were respectful in that point where storyteller to storyteller, this is not how you do it. And you did it after game, so probably away from everybody.
Exactly. I wasn't going to berate him in front of everybody, but I chewed his ass out for a good long while.
Maybe he deserved to hear it in front of everyone.
Maybe, but it's not good for morale.
Well, I mean, at that point, morale was already gone. You lost a player.
No, yes, it was. It was hurt. Yes, there was a hit to morale, but at the same time, I'm the one that it happened to. Mm-hmm. And in that particular group, I was the one with all the experience. I was the story, and I introduced all of these people to Werewolf.
Right.
So they're looking at me, and it was the same way with my feedback on those stories, and this isn't so much relevant, but I would always give him my feedback in private because I didn't want my opinion
to change how they felt.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
I really like that. Well, it was a little derivative of, and what you should do here. Oh, you're right. It was derivative. No, they were happy until I spoke up. So I'll let them leave and then I'll speak up.
Again, that's a respectful way of doing it. But for him to change the entire story because he didn't like the outcome of a certain situation.
No, it was bullshit and it was unconscionable. But if I had thrown a fit about it, if I had made a giant deal at the moment, what would have happened? It would have been a full-on mutiny and that game would have been destroyed. I kept my composure. I waited till it was over and then I reamed him the fuck out.
You're a better man than most because if it were me in that situation, it wouldn't have happened.
It's about what's best for the game.
And why I call you better men than most.
Yeah. I think I would have flipped something. And I don't often get
You're
angry.
Canadian. I don't even think that's allowed.
I think No, honestly, I don't think I could have. I'm like, what the hell do you think you're doing? And it's my book too.
Right? Like you pull a book off my shelf for this?
Did I give you permission to touch my books? No. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Like and that's why I wanted to sort of encourage you to talk about it because I think this is one of the key things that new storytellers need to understand is that you can't do this stuff.
No, that's true. And it's something I've always said in a different way is, you can do whatever you want, but you can't do whatever you want. Yeah. You can use the golden rule to change a system or to change a rule, but then you have to live and abide by the consequences of that change.
And still keeping the integrity of the game itself.
Right. And that's where there's and this becomes largely opinion. But there are ways in which you can go too far when you use the golden rule to alter the setting.
Yeah.
You can alter the entire storyline that way.
Well, again, you can do whatever you want, but you can't do whatever you want. When you change the rules, you establish new rules, and you have to abide by those rules. If you're going to go say, hey, the Grandor and the Ampus never died in the War of Rage, I mean, no one can stop you from doing that. I'm not your real dad. I can't. Mm-hmm. But what you have just done is marginalize the war of rage.
Yes.
Like on one hand, you're going, yay, look what I did. I brought back these, but sure, that's on one level, that is what you did. You brought back these long dead races, and how neat is that? Mm-hmm. But by doing that, the war of rage wasn't the war of rage.
Yeah, it's not that anymore.
It was the schoolyard fight of a little angry. Because there weren't any consequences, apparently, because everybody's fine. No one died.
I think consequences is a major part of why the golden rule is necessary, but it's also necessary to keep in check. If I'm a Gthurge and we're trying to get this bad guy, I'm going to throw a tornado at him. I can do that. But you got to live with the consequences of a giant fucking tornado coming and destroying things around you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, admittedly, I have done some questionable stuff with the golden rule, and it's because partly I knew the players. There were a group of friends who would come up every weekend or so, once a month, and we'd get together, and most times we'd play like card games and whatever. They also wanted to play werewolf, because they didn't have anybody to play with. So, I whip out the books, and we created characters, and I basically gave them, they all started at rank 1, but they were allowed to free flow. So whatever they wanted to play, I was totally cool with it, because you know what? It was just one time a month, and they were my best friends and whatever. And it started with my daughter, who said she didn't want to play a Guru. I'm like, okay, no problem. What do you want to play? She goes, I'd like to play a werefox. Okay, no problem. You're my kid. You have a short attention span. Trust me, 4 hours is maximum. She has ADHD. I love her to death, but she has a really short attention span.
Hi, Jade.
So she wanted to play Kitsune, and she was totally into that character. She loved it. She loved playing it, and she was excited to play it, and she was responsible with it. And then my friends started asking questions like, well, my one friend, he chose to play a Rune, Silverfang, and he was having fun with it. But he's like, you know what? I'd really like to try out this Geralt. Okay, sure. Let's free flow this. And then I just, because it was so free flowing, I sort of adapted the game around what my friends wanted to play, just because they were having fun. And that was all in my head, is that as long as they had fun and they left with a good note in their head after, cluttering up my couch for like a week or a weekend, it was great. Now, would I do a long-standing campaign with a Geralt and a Kitsune? Absolutely not. But these little one-off games, no problem. But I had one friend
see it that way.
Yeah, like I had one friend who said he really wanted. He never had a chance to try out a Ratkin, and he wanted to play a Twitcher. And I'm like, no, no. I'm sorry. I will allow anything but that.
Well, I'm going to guest on your next game as an Anansi.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean that.
I know.
I'm going to play 2 Ananasis.
I would never allow an Ananasi in my game.
Well, see, that's why I'm going to play 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm still not allowing it. I don't know you as a player.
Play all of them, right?
I don't know you as a player.
I see.
You got to play all of the Ananasi. That way, when they try and hurt you, all you do is scatter.
But it'll be all of them.
Exactly.
So it's like 4 or 5 billion spiders, really.
So 4 or 5 billion different voices. You're good. You can do it.
Well, thanks to Strides, we had to deal with Ananasis in his game. And I was like, thank you, Strides. I had the willies for a week. I kept looking around my house.
You're just happy you got it out of the way real quick.
Yes. But yeah, so I think for things like that, it's okay. Now, would I run, having started a new game on the Discord, with new players, would I allow Farah and Guru to mix together? No. It's only because I knew my friends and I trusted my friends that I allowed it.
Well, I
it's understandable.
The situations, I mean, that it makes a difference. And I mean, I agree, you know, if you're fucking around with like a one-off or a little special thing,
sure.
It's a little different. But yeah, I think the fair is a great example because, again, the War of Rage did happen. Mm-hmm. And there are repercussions to that. And to just sweep that shit under the rug because rats and spiders is cool, yo, is not... I think that's a misuse of the golden rule.
It's an abuse.
I think it a little bit is because, again, you're now mitigating the War of Rage. You're sweeping it under the rug. The same way with resurrecting the lost tribes. Those tribes were taken away for a reason. There's a message behind that. There's a lesson behind that. And I think you ultimately hurt the game by using the golden rule to hand wave that around. Now, a one-off here and there or a period piece, that's a different thing. I'm not saying
it can't be done.
Right. I'm just saying that when we...
Be respectful.
Yes. And that, you know...
I can't... I've lost count on how many times we've actually had to say those words.
I know. But
and yet we still say it.
Well, because when we don't, there are people, and there aren't a lot of them, but there are people who will decide to take our words and put them in different order... And then, like, ignore what half of the words mean and go, you guys said this. And it's no one said this.
No.
I mean, we said those words. They were sentences in between them. But we did say those words.
Yeah, you forgot the part. We also said this, and this.
It happens.
You guys called the
children. Don't be in the air, folks.
You guys killed the children of Gaia all hippies. Nope. We did not.
We didn't.
No, we didn't.
We did not do that.
Did we say children of Gaia?
We said the word children. We said the word Gaia. we said the word. They weren't connected.
Nope.
But we did say those words.
Sorry, stereotypes.
At 3 minutes in, you said the word hippie. And at 12 minutes in, you said the words children of Gaia.
Yep. And you also forgot the part where we talked about how the producer was half granola. And then her parents were actually hippies. That's how it works.
I like that it's our go-to, but it's not the only time.
It's not the only time, but it's definitely the most memorable time. And the one that people still don't fucking forget.
I think it's brought up every now and then.
Yeah.
It's like, we did not say that shit. See, we get a little yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, but it is, I think combat's probably the most often used.
As far as golden rule goes. I'm willing to bet. There's a couple games on Discord right now. I'm thinking specifically CJ, Ghost Paw. I'd like to be able to listen in on those games and see how they run combat and see like the differences between the two.
Well, you should.
I just haven't got the chance to either one of them.
You should.
I should. Yes, I know.
You can. I know what your schedule looks like. You
or
can sit in on both of those.
mine.
I can't sit in on yours.
You can. You choose not to.
Yes.
But I meant Danny. You can always sit in on my game.
Okay, I will.
If you can. I know you're busy, so
I will try and find the time to do so. I know I need to, and I know I don't want to say I've made promises, but I've let people know that I want to listen in. I enjoy other people's games. Porter's been the only storyteller I've ever been a part of as far as games go. I'd like to hear the other ones. I've got to hear Ghost Paw's game a couple times, but it was just in the beginning, and I know it's still going on, which is awesome, but I think they've actually hit combat by now.
Yeah, I've said it about half the games, and I like to do that too, at least to get a handle on
what other people are doing.
Yeah, to see what they're doing, see how things, how things run differently, different styles.
I'd love to hear the differences between what we've got going on, what they've got going on, and what he's got going on, and what she's got going on.
Yeah, like I've said it on Strides, I've said it on CJ. There was the guy who ran that game earlier that I sat in on. There's only a couple I haven't, which it's either timing or others. But I think it's good to sit in, learn how other people do things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Check their golden rules compared to your golden rules.
I mean, that shouldn't be necessarily the goal, but I mean, it's interesting to see because there's always something you can learn.
Absolutely.
There's always a technique that you haven't thought of.
Big time.
I mean, I've adjusted things based on what Strides does because I like what Strides does. And I'm like, you know what? I really like this idea. I'm going to adjust my game accordingly because, again, it was an easy transition. And yeah, it works out so much better.
What kinds of things are you talking about?
Well, the rage, willpower, and gnosis in a turn. That I never did before. Because, I stuck pretty close to the rules and I thought, maybe we should be doing this, but I've seen the benefits to this. So when I started up my game, I'm like, I told everybody right from the start, this is what we're going to do. And yes, you can. So basically the same rules that Strides kind of uses, I stick with. We do differentiate on Troll Skin, that they get a Fenris gift.
Mm-hmm.
According to W20, it no longer has a scent, but it lasts for a turn, or it lasts for a scene. My mistake. It lasts for a scene. I still say it has a scent as previous editions, and it lasts until you drop it.
Interesting.
That's the only thing that I sort of differentiate from because I think I'd rather have Troll Skin up. I play a Get a Fenris with that gift, so I want to keep it.
And I'm the same. My Jaeger has recently gotten that gift. I think I've only used it like once. It was really recent, so
all the time, like all the time. Anytime we go into combat,
I didn't even know in earlier editions that it had a scent. I've only seen it in W20.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Every time I go into battle or any time I go into combat. The first thing I do, up goes Troll Skin. Like, no questions. And then out comes the Fang Dagger.
And then the Fang Dagger, nice.
And then the Fang Dagger, and I'm in. And Strides, we're winding down because he wants to do something different. And so I asked him, I said, please, can I have a Jarl Hammer? Even if it's like I get to use it like once, please let me have a Jarl Hammer.
Ooh.
He said no.
He has built it into the game, but literally I think I'm going to have it like for like one session and that's it. And I'm like, I am fine with that. I have been, asking for a Jarl Hammer for like several game sessions. And he's always kind of been like, no, I don't. That's such a great idea. And I'm like, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Now that I know that the game is winding down, I'm like, can I please have one? And he's like, okay, I will allow you to have one, but I have to put it together. So I've got one piece so far, and the second piece is in the Amazon. And I don't think I'm going to survive the Amazon to put it together.
Pro tip, don't harass your storyteller for fetishes.
No.
No, I don't want to say I've been like haranguing him or anything like that, because I'm not. It's just like I really like one, but I was happy with my Fang Dagger. My Fang Dagger is fantastic.
What Get a Fenris wouldn't want a Jarl Hammer?
Right.
I know. Come on. So.
Come on, yeah. So I mean, what other examples can we think of?
Well, I'm looking at. I mean, not so much. Still part of combat, but like there are gifts and stuff that rely on like the splitting of the dice.
When you do a retcon to a system like that, like combat, you're going to have to factor in some of those changes.
Yes.
And I mean, you can't see everything, and you can't. I mean, I don't know the kind of free time you have, but you can't remember everything all the time. You're not going to have. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. You have a life. You have to take care of your own shit. So there's going to be inevitably things that will pop up that you hadn't considered, or a gift that you forgot, or whatever. And then, I mean, you're going to have the ability to make that change. Hopefully not on the fly.
Or if you do make it on the fly, it's got to be written down. So the next time it happens,
to keep it consistent.
Big time.
Well, yeah, there are things like that will change because of it. Sometimes, and I hate to say it, sometimes you can make that workaround. A rage banking system, which we have not discussed.
Which is, I'm kind of bringing up. This is my work to it. Yeah,
we work in a banking system, and this is something, Melissa, that you probably want to pay attention to, because this is how we're going to be doing business. All right, to handle things like dodge rolls or counterattacks or shit like that. What you do in our games is on your turn, you will bank a rage. So let's say Danny wants a second action and he wants a defensive action. So it's Danny's turn. He goes, I'm going to spend 2. I'm banking 1. And what that means is he's gambling that rage that he's going to be attacked during that next wave of combat, in which case he uses that rage that he has saved up for an evasive or a defensive or a counterattack action.
Correct.
Where if he doesn't get hit, you just fucking lose it because you've made that gamble.
Which also helps in the style that you use with combat.
Because there is an abundance of rage out there.
Correct. That's exactly why I was thinking of that.
Yeah, five perms is 50 rage.
Well, you put it that way, that's craziness.
Right. So you have it to spend. It's not like I only have 5 rage points. What do I do? You can screw yourself by overspending.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I spent 3 rage. 2 of the 3 were used for that turn.
Right.
So for 2 extra actions, and that third one I banked in hoping that I was going to be attacked so I can use it for a dodge roll, we'll say.
Right. Or to counterattack, or my pack mate's getting attacked.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend that rage that I had banked. I get to do that.
To go block.
Right.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yep.
I've done that a couple times too. But then we look at it like, let's say it's a dodge. In the book, it just says the dodge, you just roll, and that's it. I like the way you do it, because it's just, if I succeeded, but I have to succeed against his hit roll. So if he's, I have to do better than that roll.
Yeah, it's a contested roll.
That's what I like about it. Whereas you read it in there, it doesn't say anything about that shit.
It's
because that's what I do. You're allowed to use your rage action any way you like. So if you want to sort of spend, say, 3 rage, and you can either attack, block, defend, but I don't hold it in like a bank. And if the creature that you're fighting dies before, you get a chance to use your rage actions, you lose those rage actions. You don't get them back.
No, exactly. That's exactly how we do it. Now there's a gift. I forget which one it is now, Danny. But it's something that it doesn't matter right now. Honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Be for the sake of this, where that doesn't work with my tweaks to the combat system. And so how we changed that was that this particular gift allows you to get that banked rage back.
I'm looking at 2 different gifts at this point.
Yeah, there was another one, but this is the one I'm talking about right now. So
lightning reflexes.
Was it lightning reflexes?
Yeah, because it's a simple, it's Ahron or a get a Fenris gift. It's a level 1. It's right there. It's one of the first gifts that probably any Ahron should get, much less a get a Fenris. But it doesn't work with that system.
Right.
And then I even look at the Fianna gift was Flame Dance. I believe it was, Flame Dance, where we were looking at it and we changed it to the point where to flow with your system, I didn't have to bank the rage.
Yeah, you could just spend it.
I can just spend it. But again, with the gift.
Right. And that comes back to it, is sometimes you're going to have to make tweaks with that system like that. If you're changing a system, sometimes you're going to have to change other stuff too.
Exactly.
And there you go. I mean, this is definitely something that will come up for a combat episode eventually.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's planned, yeah.
Right. But this is the kind of stuff we're talking about, because, there will be ripples when you do something like that, and you have to be ready to tweak it. Or the alternative, and this isn't a great answer, but also sometimes it can be the answer, is it, well, just don't take that gift.
Yeah.
Sorry. You just don't get Flame Dance. You get something else. There's like a bunch of other solutions.
There's other solutions, right? There's This is too much work for everyone to remember. So don't even worry about it.
We can't reinvent every wheel. Mm-hmm. I can patch a tire. I can't
I can patch the tire, but the wheel's gone, so it's not going to do you any good.
There's only so much you can do there. And if you can come up with a solution, sure. Mm-hmm. If not, there are other gifts.
Plenty of other answers.
Right. And I think really the overall lesson there is if you're going to make larger sweeps with the golden rule, have a plan.
Oh, big time.
If you're making even minor changes, there needs to be a reason. It's got to think this through. Mm-hmm. Don't just hand wave and go, I don't like it. It's gone. Because there can be ripples. And again, when you change the rules, you have to abide by the rules that you have changed. Mm-hmm. You can't go, gravity's not a thing anymore except for that guy. Either gravity's a thing or it's not a thing. You have removed gravity. You can't give gravity to certain people just because. You've made a new rule. You have to follow it.
I like I use gravity as the rule.
Why not?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like saying, okay, to the player, well, I'm sorry, you can't have that particular gift, but my NPC has it.
You know what else it would be like? It would be like making a video game and saying, we can't have a HISPO form.
Oh, God.
It's impossible for us to make a HISPO form.
Oh, but you're going to go fight HISPO.
Yeah, but later in the game, you're going to fight a bunch of the HISPOs that are impossible, that we said are impossible. Fucking Carl's Revenge, man. Carl's Revenge.
Yeah, I think we've...
That was just, yeah.
Oh, fuck. I think we've given that enough shit.
That's just what was in my heart. It was a perfect example.
You did perfect, yep.
No HISPOs allowed ever, because they're impossible, and we couldn't imagine how, is one of the first NPCs you see.
I know.
Well, we couldn't work combat that way, except when you fight a bunch of them. Oh.
Lies.
Get mad, drink some ketchup.
No, it's drink some
plant later.
Drink some ketchup and get mad from it. That's
That's right.
Because that's how it should work.
It's allergic to tomatoes. But I mean, jokes aside, it is. It's about planning it out. It's about being consistent. It's an easy thing to abuse.
Very.
A one-off game here and there, that's not what we're talking about. If you're going to make, especially with lore changes, you need to think it through because it's not as simple. I know it seems like, oh, well, I just want the White Howlers back. But either they have just magically appeared right now and no one questions that, or they were never taken out. And if they were never taken out,
you change a lot of history.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There's so... That butterfly effect is ridiculous.
Yes, you have changed. And even if you're swapping and go, no, it was the Fianna instead. Okay, that still changes everything.
A lot.
Big change.
But I know there are people out there who are thinking about it or actively doing it. And so here we are to maybe caution that and go, look, maybe there are things that shouldn't be disturbed. I can't tell you what to do, but please think it out. Because there are repercussions in the world of darkness, in the game that you're playing, in the setting, to making sweeping changes like that.
They're major changes that, if you don't think them through, maybe if it's a one-off thing, I get it, fine. But
I mean, I did play a one-off game where it was at a convention, gaming convention, and we started off as spirals and we went and cleansed the taint and came out as White Howlers. And it was a 2-part game that I got into both parts. Really good storyteller, really good story itself. And I it was just interesting from that perspective. Would I play a White Howler? Totally play a White Howler if I could. Would I ever find a reputable storyteller to be able to play one? Nah. Because I know if a player came to me and said, I want to play a White Howler, I'd be like, no. No.
But even if you cleanse the taint.
I knew it. I was going to go ahead, Danny. I knew it.
Yeah.
How does that become a way out? Unless it was that time.
I know. It was just a story. It was a story that was a one-off, and it came in conjunction with the White Howler Tribe book was just come off the presses. So it was kind of that sort of thing. And you had to expend some disbelief a little bit. But it was still a good game to play because it was a one-off at a convention. You walked away from it going, oh, that was kind of fun. End of story. But it was, like a one-time thing. Would I ever run a story like that? Absolutely not. It's too much. It's, as you said, you mess with too much core lore.
I mean, yes. And I love that Danny's the one who brought it up because, like, you were telling that story. I'm like, that's not how that works.
No, my head hurts.
and I know you knew that too, Mel. So.
Oh yeah. I totally know that. You had to. It was just a one-off game at a convention, and it was fun. But
yeah, you throw one for nothing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's funny. It does. In that story itself reminds me of there was someone back in the day in the old White Wolf chats way back when. Who the character was a Black Fury who ended up dancing the spiral and then going to Erebus to become a White Howler.
Yeah, that doesn't. No.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
No.
This is the golden rule gone mad.
Yes.
Oh my God.
This was a good example. Look at it that way.
Right?
Fine.
Danny is hurt.
I am very hurt right now.
I think he's concussed somehow.
Yep.
But again, the golden rule is a positive force in games as long as you were using it
correctly.
I didn't want to say correctly. I mean, I totally did. But intelligently. You think
and with integrity.
Yes.
Responsibly.
Even better.
There's the best version right there. Used responsibly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's important. I mean, obviously everyone having a good time is important, but that can sometimes be thrown around like an excuse.
Yep.
For bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know who has a good time? Heroin junkies. Like, you give them heroin and they're having a good time. That doesn't make that a good idea. I'm just saying, and yes, I am now equating messing with the golden rule to doing a bunch of heroin.
Yeah.
It correlates sometimes. There are less golden rule overdoses, I will give you that.
Oh my gosh.
And this is, we're recording this.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're doing okay.
Yeah, we're having a good time.
Oh, we always do.
But I think really we should go to, do we have any final thoughts?
I think we just said it. I think it's
probably did.
I think Melissa said it best. Use it responsibly.
Yes. More responsible golden rule usage, less heroin. Can we agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely agreed.
All right. Melissa, it's good having you back.
It's fantastic to be back.
Thank you for joining us.
I love it every time.
Well, we'll have you back soon, eh?
Absolutely, especially when you do the Get episode.
Well, it's be a while before we go back to redoing the Get, but you'll
I know,
be a part
but
of
just
it.
saying. And you don't need to do the Black Furies. The Black Fury episode was fantastic.
I don't know. That was a little...
We're going to have to golden rule that one and just leave them out.
I think we're just going to edit out the name of the episode. She's going to be like, this truck. That was a good one. Don't do that. Anyway, on behalf of, I guess the two of us here at Scratch Wolf Studio, Danny and I, on behalf of Melissa, we want to thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Keep your claws sharp, your head in a swivel. We'll see you. Pro tip, don't harass your storyteller for fetishes.
No.